Office Wife. The story of the girl who married her boss and of the girl who took over. And now Marcia Pilgrim continues the story of Office Wife.
The last 2 days, Jeff and I have been so frantically busy getting Benny Puller's account into shape for his audit, I haven't had time to worry about Harry Palmer or Stella Bronson or anyone else. But there's enough to worry about just the same. Stella's been telling Jeff something about Harry and me. You might remember, when Jeff and I were almost separated, Harry and I tried to catch Jeff and Stella together. Or at least find out what was going on. I thought it was all over and done with ages ago. And what Stella hopes to gain by dragging it up again is more than I can imagine. But I'm going to find out, if I can. I'm phoning her from the office while Jeff's upstairs. But I've got to be quick. That you, Stella? Marcia here. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Stella, would you care to meet me for lunch?
I'd like to. If there aren't any strings.
Strings?
Forget it. Where did you have in mind?
Oh, well, what about the good old Pleasure Dome, Cuirassiers?
Suits me, Marcia.
Oh, good. 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock it is. Bye now.
Who was that, Marcia?
Actually, it was Stella Bronson.
You don't have to look so guilty about it, darling. What does she want?
I rang her.
No.
If you must know, I asked her to lunch.
Not the three of us?
No, just Stella and me.
Well, I'll be hanged. One day, if I live long enough, I'll get you figured out. Hope you enjoy yourselves.
I think this is rather decent of you, Marcia. Did you mean what you said about no strings?
Well, not exactly. Stella, I want you to tell me what you've been talking to Jeff about. And I'm not after a quarrel, I'm just plain worried.
You may be worried, but you're also vague. What am I supposed to have said to Jeff?
Something about Harry Palmer and me?
I've been expecting this.
Why?
Because we're both in the same boat about that fellow, and we both know it, and Harry Palmer trades on it.
I haven't the remotest idea what you're talking about.
You're not as dense as all that, Marcia. Harry Palmer poses as a good friend of Jeff's, but you must be aware that he's nothing of the kind. He loathes him.
Oh, rubbish. Look, we may as well speak frankly.
We'll get nowhere if we don't.
Harry Palmer likes Jeff. He just happens to like me more.
He doesn't give a tinker's benediction for you, Marcia. He just wants to marry into your uncle's firm.
Oh, that's utterly ridiculous. Now, I don't want to sound like a chippy, but the man's in love with me. Oh, really, Stella, I should know.
You should, but you don't. Sooner or later, Marcia, this Harry Palmer business is going to blow up right in Jeff's face. And I only hope it blows up before it's too late.
If you know so much, why don't you tell Jeff?
I can't, because I haven't the courage. You can't tell your husband that Palmer wanted you to divorce him. I can't tell Jeff that Palmer's a rat, because at one stage I was hand in glove with him. That's what I meant when I said we were both in the same boat. I'm glad that's out, Marcia. It's about the first really honest thing I've ever said to you.
Why the sudden convulsive spasm of virtue?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I've finally given up hope of ever getting Jeff away from you.
Thanks.
But I still haven't the nerve to lose whatever regard Jeff has for me by telling him the truth about his good friend Harry Palmer. That, my dear, is up to you.
Me? Look, it's all very well for you to sit there and say, Palmer's this and Palmer's that. But all I know about him is that he wants to marry me.
Oh, darling, I just told
And
you.
I didn't believe it. I don't believe a word about Harry Palmer hating Jeff. All I know is that when you were Jeff's secretary, Harry took a pretty dim view of you and Jeff and wanted me to get a divorce and marry him. I don't see that that makes him a rotter. He's supposed to be a friend of mine as well as my husband. Well, what are we going to do, Stella? Surely you're not going to tell Jeff the things I haven't told him. Are you?
I don't carry tales, Marcia. But I'm serious about all this just the same.
Well, I hope you don't think I'm here for the laughs.
You won't tell Jeff about Palmer? And the little scheme the two of you worked out just before that accident you had with your car?
No.
Never?
Oh, it's all over and done with. Why drag it up?
Because Jeff mustn't be allowed to go on thinking Harry Palmer's a friend of his, don't you understand? Marcia, I'm certain there's something brewing. Don't ask me how I know, I just feel it. And if you don't tell Jeff about Palmer, I'll tell him myself. I mean it, Marcia.
But I can't.
Ah, look at us. We're both supposed to be in love with the guy, and yet we're covering up for Harry Palmer because neither of us wants Jeff to see us in our true colours. Well, you're his wife, and I'm merely one of his ex-secretaries. But so help me, Marcia, if you haven't told Jeff everything inside a week, I'm going to spill the beans completely. In front of you and Palmer.
You wouldn't dare.
I would. And if you don't mind, the sight of that lobster's making me ill. I'm sorry to be rude, but I simply must get out of here.
But Stella, I can't tell him everything. He'd never speak to me again.
He'll never speak to me again either. But I've kept quiet too long already. You've got a week, Marcia. 7 days. Take it or leave it. Goodbye.
Ah, you're back, Marcia. Don't mind me wolfing sandwiches in front of you. Well, how did lunch with Stella go?
Oh, rotten.
You didn't quarrel, did you?
No. But I think our Saturday night party would be off. But definitely.
Oh, just what went on over the lobster mayonnaise? I say, Pet, you're looking rather less than cheerful.
I try to get on with Stella. And if it weren't for you, Jeff, I could. Now, look, I don't want to talk about it. Do you mind if I get on with some work?
Just as you like, darling. First, I think we'd better check those lists you've been drawing up. You know, discounts and rebates to be credited against pullers, subcontractors.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you got them all right.
They're all in order. Shall I bring them over to your desk?
Yes, you'd better, and I'll make room. We can spread them out and see just where we are. Do you want a hand?
No, I can manage. If I've messed them up, it's going to be pretty horrible. I'll never be finished by Friday.
Now, let's take them... Oh, yes, you've got them in alphabetical order. Good. Now, then, I'll call the name and the total credit to date, and you tell me the discount. You right?
Mm-hmm.
A.D. Abrams, £2,642.
£66, 4 and twopence.
Hmm?
£66, 4 and twopence.
That's not right.
Well, of course it's right.
Well, how can it be? That's something like 3% of the total amount. Abrams is on 4.5 of the total, less tax, less freight, less his own commission. Oh, good Lord, Marcia.
But you distinctly told me, Jeff.
Now, don't say a word, just tell me quickly. Have you done them all like this? The whole 230 of them?
Well, yes, you said...
I thought you understood the way they work. What's become of the invoices and the bills of lading and the tax rates and so on?
Well, as I worked these out, I passed them through to be copied and sent on to Benny Puller.
Heaven help us. You haven't been drawing up rebates. You've been plunging us into an unholy tangle. Marcia, what the devil were you thinking of?
I've merely been trying to do my best.
Your best? Confounded girl, if you had to make this horrible mess, Why couldn't you have stayed at home and let me engage a decent secretary?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's not a secretary's work. It's a job for 6 accountants and a battery of adding machines.
If only I had looked what you were up to before. Hang it all, I've been so confoundedly busy myself. How the devil are we going to get out of this?
I don't care how you get out of it. I'm sick and tired of sitting here answering the phone and trying to work out reams and reams of beastly figures. You know, I've never been a scrap of good at figures.
Oh, Marcia, please. Please, don't have a cry on top of everything else. We'll do something. Don't let it worry you. Here it's my fault. I shouldn't have given you a tenth of it. Come on, cheer up.
I won't cheer up. You didn't want me here in the first place. Now this will give you an excuse to...
Oh, darling, don't be difficult. I'm sorry I shouted at you, and I know exactly what we'll do.
What?
We'll straighten this out in no time. I'll get on the phone to Stella. She can sort out all the bills that have already gone to Pullers. Then she can come over here, and between the three of us...
Stella Bronson, come here.
Or we can take all this stuff to her office, if you like. She knows the drill backwards.
No.
Why not?
I'm not going to have Stella Bronson putting my mistakes to right. Do you hear me, Jeff? I won't have it. I'm not going to be humiliated in front of her, and I won't let you.
This is one tantrum you're not going to get away with, Marcia. Stella's the only person who can straighten out this mess, and she's going to. Get that into your head. And when you have, get Stella on the phone and tell her what's what. I don't get any pleasure out of calling on Stella Bronson to put matters right at the office. Seeing it's the only way I can have Fuller's accounts ready by Friday, then call on her I shall. As for Marcia, well, this time she can take any view she likes. I don't care what she does or says about it. So here we go.
We invite you to listen to further episodes of Office Wife, written by L.J. Hardy, a Donovan Joyce production.